Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to be working on this 2002 Corolla that has an oil consumption issue. We have tried a ton of chemicals in this thing, which did not seem to work. But for those of you who were desperately hoping for a fix in a bottle, do not lose hope. I repeat, do not lose hope. Though, yes, today we are going to tear this engine down, because that is what most of the viewers have voted for. I think a lot of people out there are going to be absolutely stunned by what we find. This might even change automotive history, or at least the way people tackle this issue. The pollen is really starting to build up out here. Apparently the only one I have left. So first thing I want to do is see if we can watch the piston oil drain back holes work. Let's get these out. So a quick look at these. Number one. Number two, number three, and number four. 3 is the worst, 4 isn't far behind, 1 and 2 don't look that bad. So I'd like to see if the piston oil drain back holes are really working. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour transmission fluid into each of the spark plug holes, because transmission fluid has a distinct red color, or at least this kind does. And then when we turn the crank around, we'll get to see if any of the transmission fluid is coming through the piston oil drain back holes, because again, it's a red color. We should see red fluid oozing out from where the holes are, and that will let us know if the holes are truly clear. I have to pour enough in here that it'll at least overflow the dished out piston. I think that should be good. And that should be good. Hopefully, of course, nothing is draining out yet. So, put a 19 millimeter on the crank bolt right here, give it a few turns and see what happens. Sound like something got spit out of the spark plug hole. Get these cranks out of the way, and let's see what we can see. Don't see anything yet coming out of that end. Or this end. Need a few more cranks. Maybe I'll put the spark plugs back in. Nothing yet. And no. All right, let's put the spark plugs back in and give it a few more cranks. Now I don't know if I'm even going to be able to turn the crank because of the compression, but we'll see. Curious to see what it looks like. Still nothing that I can see. Or is there? I don't know. Oh yeah. So That is definitely squirting out of there. I think it got it on the lens. Ugh. You can actually see that bubbling through number 4. Look at that. Now that's number 3. Bubbling through number 3. Number 1 is bubbling. Number 2, look at that. All right, so we know that the oil drain back holes are clear and flowing. All right, well, I just wanted to see that. That was purely for an experiment's sake to make sure those are clear. I wanted to see something flowing through them. And now that we did, let's just keep on going with the teardown. Start by, I guess, getting the valve cover off. This PCV clamp off here. Get the PCV hose off. So you set the catch can further out of the way. Nope, wrong way. I need to be putting these nuts back in place so they don't get lost. I'm not going to bag everything. Some things can go back on their studs or in their respective holes. I need to find a way to get more slack from this spark plug rail connection thing here. Let's unhook these fuel injector connectors first. Some leverage. Put this nut on before I took the thing off. Try that again. There we go. Put that nut back on there. Let's go ahead and take the cams out. Hopefully they'll fit in this box here. Yeah, I think so. First we need to loosen the timing chain, which means we need to take out the timing chain tensioner, which is somewhere right back here. Here is the timing chain tensioner. Now we'll start loosening these cam bolts. Just going to start by just gently loosening each one a little. Go back through. I want to keep all of these things in order, so I'm not going to take anything off yet until I'm ready with a place to put them to keep them in order. Okay, these all need to go back in exactly as they came out, so I'm going to take extra good video documentation of all this. Just in case I mess up my organization. Oh no, I think I had to take these sprockets off first. I forgot about that. Can I get them out without taking the sprockets off? Well, I think I had to take the sprockets off. There we go. And I'm trying to be super careful not to touch any of this stuff, because if any of this gets scratches on it, that is not good. Come on. There it is. There it is. Remember which way it goes. The lump goes to the outside. Pull this cam out. And should be able to get this cam out. The intake cam. All right. Now we're going to pull all these buckets out. And again, we're going to keep everything in order. Now I would prefer a paper egg carton because it's less likely for the oil to eat through the plastic. But we don't seem to have any paper cartons, so we'll see how this works. Oh, you know what? I need to take the spark plugs back out. I tell you what, if we ever get this to stop burning oil, I'm going to get some new spark plugs. I'm going to put them in, and I'm going to try to never ever take them back out again for the life of this car. I'm just concerned if I take them out, put them back in too many more times, I'm going to have to rethread them. Much easier. No, I don't want to confuse myself by filling in the rest of this. I should have done a different order. I should have just done them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, some sort of order here. Now I've got myself in a pinch. I want to take off as little as possible. So what all is connected to the head, and what do I have to take off to get the head loose? So you can see there's like a little cross member right here in the timing cover, but do I have to take the timing cover off to get the head off? Probably, ideally. Can I get the head off without that though? Can I just loosen all these bolts, nuts, and get the head up and away from the timing cover at the same time? And then can I put it back and seal properly? All right, I gotta be honest, I didn't even watch a how-to video or anything on this, nor did I get out my service manual before starting this. So I've done some things out of order. Apparently I need to remove the air box and the alternator and this engine mount. So start on that now. You know something else I didn't do? Disconnect the negative battery cable. Let's do that first. So here's the petcock on the radiator. Let's loosen that up. Sure, we loosen the cap, release the vacuum. I'm also going to pull the lower hose off. It goes from the engine to the radiator here at the bottom to let it drain even more. I know a lot of people probably think I need to change the radiator at it while I'm at it. And maybe we will in the future, but not until I get the major problems fixed first. Can hold this up. There it is. Oh my. I think we better support the engine somehow. Okay, it's another day. It's actually a pretty evening today. Everything's blooming and sunny, and it's about 70 degrees here at probably 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm actually not going to work on this right now because I need to go get a tool. I just wanted to throw in a tip here. I watched a video. I was just winging this, taking stuff off as it looked like it needed to be taken off. I did break out the manual here at the end. It didn't really help much because it's just a Haynes manual, but I went over the past couple of days and watched a video by Phoenix and Dad. And if you're looking to do this job and you want a good detailed step-by-step instruction on how to get the pistons out of this, he's got a great video, and I'll put a link down below that you can go and watch it if you want to. If you're here for other stuff, great. But I also wanted to say that when he does it, he does not take the timing cover off. He pulls the head with the timing cover still on. So you have to separate the head from the timing cover. And that requires a special, it's called like an exterior Torx. So I need a little exterior Torx socket for this. You apparently back these nuts off here just a little, and then you back this rod that has an exterior Torx head on it right there, and it backs out of the head from right here. So that has to be detached. And then there's another bolt a little further down in there that needs to be detached. And then of course, serpentine belt tensioner part here, it has another exterior torque type bit. So this nut will have to be backed off a little, and then this will have to be backed out in order to get this side of the timing cover detached from the head. So I'm going to run to the store to see if I can get some exterior Torx bits, which supposedly they sell at Harbor Freight and maybe like even Advanced Auto, AutoZone, stuff like that. So we'll see. It says Advanced Auto has some pickup today. Ready in 30 minutes. Yes, that looks like what I need. And my wife has the fit. So I'm probably going to ride my bike up there. Yep, that's it. All right, I have my concerns that one of these is going to be small enough for that small rod. Let's see. Nope. So what is this? 6? So I guess I need a 5. Man. Yeah, so that's that one. That is an E7. Somehow I'll make do. So we have to take the gas guzzler Sequoia to Harbor Freight. It's too many miles for the bike, and Feisty Kate has the fit right now. goes. Now we can take this engine mount off. Well, I definitely saw the engine move. There we go. There actually is an order of the way you need to take the bearing caps off so that you don't put undue stresses on any parts of the engine. And I did not do that. Hopefully this is going to work out regardless. All right, we got a whole bunch more stuff to take off the engine. We got to take off the throttle body, the manifolds. Anyway, better get started. Get this cable off here. Just turn that this way. Slide it out. Take this whole cable off. There's like a 12mm bolt under here. There's always a little adhesion on hoses, it seems, that have been on there a while. I saw a trick to this somewhere. I can't remember where it was. There we go. That'll probably work. Yeah. So apparently, just grab it with your pliers and give it a gentle little twist to break the adhesion without, you know, tearing up your hose. Got another one back here. Definitely don't want to damage it because these are pre-bent hoses, so I'd probably have to get this from Toyota. The gasket off gently. And the nuts back. So that's a bolt, not a stud, but now we need to remove this fuel line to get this fuel rail out of the way. You actually need a tool to do that. We'll unsnap this, and you have to actually press something forward in there as you push these together to release that. And Phoenix and Dad shows using a Sharpie barrel, but they actually make a tool to disconnect the fuel line. Let's see if I can come up with a similar solution. I think I have some Sharpies. Hopefully one's dried out. I wonder if I should leave the clip. No, can't leave the clip on. Take that off. Just make a slit down one side here. Hopefully that'll work. I'm going to put a jar under this to catch any fuel, but I'm going to just wrap this on this line. Actually, let's clean this off first. Don't want to get any dirt in the fuel line, clog up all the injectors. I just cut the top off of a can. Be careful not to cut myself. Around fuel line. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. We want to cover these so that no dirt gets in there either way. Phoenix and Dad used the tips of the fingers of some gloves. Probably do the same thing here. Okey-doke. Now I think we can take off this fuel rail. There's a little bracket over here. Look at all these acorns in here. Must have had some creatures living in here. And there's one of the bolts to our coil-on plugs. Let's go ahead and remove this radiator hose. Hopefully we won't break this off. As many people have mentioned, when this starts turning white, it's not long for this world. Camshaft position sensor cable. There it goes. All the bolts on the manifold here. Start with the one on the outside, I guess. I'm not sure there's a loosening sequence with this, but just in case. Now, will the manifold come off? Probably something holding this portion on. Yep, there's another bracket down there. And then I forgot to take all these hoses off, so I still got to do that. I would take this bracket off to make this easier, but I don't want to forget exactly how it goes. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, this right here is a bracket held on to the manifold here with one bolt and held on to the engine or the transmission with another bolt. So I'm taking the bolt off of the transmission and leaving the bracket on the manifold, because otherwise if I took this bolt off, I'd have to lift this up and away because the bracket would still be in the way. So the bracket needs to come with it. Hopefully that is everything. Oh, yes, feels like everything. But it also feels like the radiator's in the way. The gasket is coming off with it. Grab that gasket out of there. And there we go. We are getting there. Now they say you should take the VVTi pump off so you don't break it. Looks like there's just one bolt down there. Now this might lose some oil here, so I'm going to put rag under that. I think I can just pull it straight out. There it goes. Yep, just the O-rings and stuff just make it sealed pretty good. There we go. They say there's a filter, I guess, beneath this nut. Looks like it needs a good cleaning anyway. I'll leave it somewhat loose to remind me that there's something that goes in there. This side of the head looks pretty clear. Now let's deal with the exhaust manifold side. First, let's get the heat shield off. It's amazing to me how loose all this stuff is, even these rusty looking bolts. This one feels like it's getting tighter as I loosen it. Get the shield off. Yes. Here comes the shield. Here comes the shield. Okay, now we have to take the oxygen sensor off because it's in the way of one of the exhaust flange bolts. O2 sensor. I think the gasket can stay on there for now. Okay, I got the exhaust downpipe bolts off using a set of extensions and a deep well socket. And for one of them, I had to use this swivel head. Let's go ahead and get this wiring harness bracket out of the way. That's gonna give us more room, yes. Put that back in there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to remember where it goes back. Why do engines have to be so complicated? Now for the exhaust manifold. Looks like 12 millimeter. So, when removing exhaust nuts and bolts, it's usually good to use 6-point sockets, which I have here, but a YouTube video, I won't say which one, said you would need to use a crescent wrench to get to this center one. So I didn't even try my 6-point in there, and I ended up rounding over that middle bolt. So I'm just telling you now, if you can get a 6-point in there, do that to start with, otherwise you're gonna probably mess up your nuts. And so I'm gonna have to run to Advance Auto and pick up what's called a bolt extractor, or some people call them bolt biters. That's probably a brand name or something, but anyways, so I'm gonna have to get that to get off that rounded nut to keep going. All right, let's hope one of these works. 12 millimeter, we'll start with that. think you just kind of hammer it on there. All right, let's see if that'll work. Okay, there's one more bracket you gotta get to from the bottom. So either these two bolts right here or that bolt up there. And as this looks trapped right there, I guess I'm gonna try to get off that bolt up there. So I had to take this shield off from above the CV axle here. So I had two bolts that went through there into the back of the engine here, and one bolt that went through there, or one nut that went over that stud right there, just so I could get to these two bolts right here to get the manifold off. All right, well, that was not easy. I ended up stripping one of the other bolts that I was just pointing at, and ended up going back to the single bolt in the middle. Hopefully that's all I needed to do. Ah, yes. Some ground wires. Coolant temperature sensor. So it looks like I can leave this hose attached. So I'm not gonna know where that goes if I take that whole thing off. Probably should have left it hooked to the throttle body or the intake manifold. Now what else? There's a clamp. A coolant line? Yep. Another hose. Now for some tricky stuff. So here we are on the timing chain side, and we need to get that bolt off without dropping it down inside the engine. And this is the only way to do this without taking the timing cover off. You have to pull the chain to this side while you take it off. I'm wondering if we can stuff something down in there so it doesn't fall through, something that we can still get back out. Okay, so I've made this little cardboard catch basin. So if that nut falls, it will hopefully just be caught right there, and I'll have a magnet on standby. The magnet on standby. There we go. All right, I believe we're down to the last two fasteners on the exterior before we get to the actual head bolts to take it off. Just back that nut off just a little bit, and we'll use one of our e-torx to get that little stud out. So we got my 5 e-torx. Why did it feel loose? Oh well, it works. That looks like. Actually, I counted wrong. There are a few more fasteners on this side. One here, one under here. You'll see them when you do them. They're obvious. E7 Torx. There it is. These are different lengths, so I need to make sure I go back in the right spots. It doesn't want to fit in there. Uh-oh. We're gonna change tactics. I think that'll work. Yeah, there we go. All right, as far as I know, this is the last bolt on the outside of this head. Time to loosen the actual head bolts. So here's the cylinder head bolt tightening sequence. It doesn't really have a loosening sequence unless it says do this in reverse, but that's pretty much how it's usually done, so I'm assuming without reading all this, yes, if you want to read all this, please do. I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to assume we're going to go in reverse. So we're going to start loosening with the left side, near left corner, far right corner, far left corner, near right corner, and so on until we get to the middle. And that's just breaking them loose, and then go back and loosen them a little more until they're all loose, and we'll pull the bolts out. It is a beautiful day. Look at the flowers blooming. Some dianthus down there. And back to the greasy engine. Okay, I got the breaker bar. You could, of course, use a regular ratchet and a cheater. It's kind of a sloppy fit, but all right, here we go. Well, still feels tight, but that is broken loose. Far left. I'm sure it's in there good. Near right. Number 5. Make sure it's seated in there good. Strip these. Oh no. I think I might have popped out of that one. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, I just readjusted this and I hammered it until it felt like bottomed out there. So let's see. Yes. Thank you, Lord. To make sure we get this seated. And 1. All right, switch over to a regular ratchet. And loose, all right. I mean, obviously once they're just finger tight, it doesn't matter what order you do it in. There's no tension on it. This is the one that is partially stripped, which might be a good argument for replacing the bolts. Last head bolt. Now, should I tap it with a rubber mallet or should I just wiggle it a little? Ooh! Put my pan back under there. So we got some movement. Get it off. Apparently you have to come straight up because there are some alignment pins or dowels. So we're going to come straight up and not scratch any of the surfaces. Okay, there it is. All right. Well, folks, I know some of you didn't believe it, but we are down to the pistons. We are doing this. All right, let's take a look inside here. Looks like the pistons that had the oil problems are really clean. This is ATF fluid on top of here from when I poured it in there to check out the oil drain back holes. But that one's not so clean. And this is the piston, this is cylinder number 2 that appeared to be operating properly. So it's got a little carbon on it because it wasn't getting washed by oil. So, what do you think about the wear in there? I think we're going to get away with changing the pistons and rings. There's a couple of scratches right there. But I can't feel them. Looks like you could feel them, but I can't. No, not even with my fingernail. Let's look at the front side. I think we're going to be okay. Regardless, we're going to change them out. So I need to get on the ball and order some pistons. But before I do that, we got to pull them. All right, I have to break in here. This video is already way too long. Most people won't sit through a 45-minute video. And while I'm editing this here, I see I've already run past 45 minutes and I have not even added the intro yet. So, yes, I have pulled the pistons and they will be in the next video, which I am editing right now. So I hope to get this next video up almost right behind this one. So please just be patient. I just wanted to go ahead and get this one out here so I don't have this giant video that people see, oh, an hour video. I don't want to watch that right now. So in the next video, we are going to get directly to pulling the pistons out, and I'm pretty sure you're going to want to see this. Until then, as always, thank you for watching. Please comment below, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.